Good morning, girls. Today I'm going to do lesson number 13. It's on chapter number 5. Okay. We started proportions. Ratio we've completed. Now proportion we were doing. Last time I did direct proportion. Today I'm going to do inverse proportion. Okay. So what is the difference between direct and inverse proportion? In direct proportion, when if the element of one set increases, other will also increase, or if one is decreasing, other will also decrease. But in inverse proportion, what happens? It is opposite. Okay, if one element is increasing, other will decrease in magnitude. So when two quantities are given, two elements are given, so one will increase, other will decrease, or one will decrease, other will increase. Okay, so this is difference between inverse and direct proportion. So let me write it here so that you will remember it, what it is. If the elements of one set increase in magnitude. Okay. Okay. So if one is increasing, the other set will decrease. Okay. Decrease in magnitude. So this is the main difference. Okay, if one is increasing, other will decrease. If one is decreasing, other will increase. Okay, so it is known as inverse proportion. Now I'll give you the example from your book. Okay, so that you can understand. Examples comes in the exams also, so that's why I'm going to give the example from the book. Example number 1, it's on page 90. Okay, on page 90 this example is given. So let me write the example. Okay, 14 persons 14 persons have food for 30 days. So two sets are 14 persons and 30 days. Okay, so this is given. Now for how many days? For how many days the same food will be sufficient? Okay, this you have to find. Okay, for how many days same food will be sufficient. If 4 of the persons leave, okay, 4 of the persons leave, it means that there were 14 persons, and when 4 persons will leave, so it means it will become 10 persons. So for how many days same food will be sufficient? Okay, so this we are going to find. So number of persons and number of days are the two sets. Okay, okay, let me do the solution. Let me explain this to you, how to write this two sets. Okay, now 14 persons, so one set is person. Okay, for 30 days, second set is days, so we will write two sets here, persons, okay, and days. So 14 persons have food for 30 days. So 14 persons have food for 30 days. For how many days? How many days means X. It is unknown how many days. The same food will be sufficient if 4 of the persons leave. There were 14 persons. If 4 will leave, so we will write 14 minus 4. If 4 persons will leave, it means 10 are remaining. So for 10 persons, same food will be sufficient for how many days? Okay, this is what we have to find. So you can see the number of person decreases. Now the persons are decreasing, so the number of days will increase. Increase means upward direction. Okay, so you'll make the arrows like this. Number of persons are decreasing, so it is going in downward direction. It is decreasing in downward direction. And days will increase, so it will go in upward direction. Okay, so I'll mention it here. If the number of person decreases, the number of days will obviously increase. Number of days will increase. Okay, so number of days will increase. Now how you are going to write in proportion form? Start with the tail. Okay, from here, so you'll write 14 first and then till arrow. 14 is to 10, 14 is to 10. Okay, then proportion sign, and again start from this tail. X is to 30. Okay, X is to 30. Okay, start from tail, then in the arrow direction. 14 is to 10. Start from tail and then till this arrow. X is to 30. So this way you are going to write the proportion. Now according to the proportion formula, you multiply the extreme values. So you will multiply first and last. Okay, so it will become 14 into 30, and mean values will multiply. So mean values means 10 into x equals to product of extreme values 14 into 30. Okay, so proportion is equals to product of mean values equals to product of extreme values, or product of extreme values equals to product of mean values. Okay, now you have to find x. So x will remain here. 10 is multiplying, so that side you will shift, it will divide. So x equals to 14 into 30 divided by 10. Okay, so you can simplify it. 10 into 3 is 30. So 14 into 3 is 42 days. Okay, days, you were finding days, so you will write days here. Okay, x is days, so it means x is 42 days. So in word problems, in the answer also you have to write the statement. Okay, what you will write, whatever they have asked. Same food will be sufficient. Same food will be sufficient for 42 days. Okay, so this is the answer. Same food will be sufficient for 42 days. Okay, it's not difficult, very easy questions. Just find which two sets you have to solve. So number of person, number of days. If one quantity is, you can see, decreasing, other will increase. Okay, so start from tail till arrow. Start from tail till arrow. Okay, write the numbers. Product of extreme values equals to product of mean values, or product of mean values equals to product of extreme values. X will remain here, 10 is multiplying, so that side when you shift you will divide it and you will get the answer. X equals to 42 days, and in this statement same food will be sufficient for 42 days. Okay, easy it is. Let's do more questions. Now examples are not in your book, they were only I think one example. Now I'm going to do the questions from the exercise, okay, so that you can understand. Let me do first question. Now we are going to do exercise number 5.3. okay. Okay, question I have already written. Exercise 5.3. Question number 1. Okay, it's on page 91. So you can check the question also from your book. Okay, it's on page 91. Okay, you can check the question on page 91. Now the question is, some quantity of milk is sufficient for 120 persons. Okay, so this is the first set, 120 persons at the rate of half liter a person. So it means second set is liter. Okay, 120% at the rate of half liter a person. So write the solution and write the two sets. Okay, which two sets? Persons, okay. Now at the rate, now basically this is rate given, rate of half liter a person. So we will write the liter, or you can say quantity of milk you can write. Okay, milk is in half liter, so this is the second set, milk it is in liter. Okay, for how many persons the same quantity of milk will be sufficient if each person is given 3 by 8 liter milk? Okay, this is 3 by 8 liter milk is given. Now let's write it. Some quantity of milk is sufficient for 120 persons at the rate of 1 upon 2 liter a person. So for 120 person, rate of milk is 1 upon 2 liter. Okay, for 120 person, rate of milk is 1 upon 2 liter. Okay, for how many persons? How many means X. For how many persons the same quantity of milk will be sufficient if each person is given 3 by 8 liter milk? Okay, so we will write 3 by 8. This milk is given, this quantity of milk. Okay, now we have written. Now you can see that this quantity was half and then it is 3 by 8. It means this quantity is decreasing. Milk is decreasing. So if milk is decreasing, what will happen? Number of persons will increase. Okay, quantity of milk is decreasing. Why? Because number of persons are increasing. So one quantity is decreasing, other will increase. So let's write it. If the quantity of milk decreases, the number of person will increase. Okay, obviously. the number of person will increase. Okay, let's write it again. I told you before how we write it. We start from the tail, okay, tail, and then we go up. X is to 120. X is to 120. Then proportion sign. Again start with the tail, and then here 1 upon 2 is to 3 by 8. Okay. Now same formula of proportion. Extreme values, product of extreme values equals to product of mean values. So x into 3 by 8. Product of extreme values equals to product of mean values, 120 into 1 upon 2. Okay. Now let's solve this first. This you can simplify it here. 2 into 60, right? So x into 3 by 8 equals to 60. Now what we'll do, we'll cross multiply 3 here and 8 there. So x equals to, this will go in that direction and 3 will come in the denominator. So 8 into 60 divided by 3. So divide, 3 ones are 3 20s are, and 8 into 20 is 160. Now what is 160? X is what? X is persons. So you will write 160 persons. So same, now the milk is sufficient. Same quantity of milk will be sufficient for 160 persons. Okay. So this you answer, you will write statement, you will write in the answer, milk will be sufficient milk will be sufficient for 160 persons. Okay, so easy it's not difficult, just you have to write the proper statement, proper question, and you have to write the quantities properly. Okay, then you can easily get the answer. Okay, let me do another question from the exercise. Okay, question number 2. Okay, now in question number 2, it's in your book, exercise 5.3, question number 2, exercise 5.3. Okay, now in this question, what is given? Let's read the question. A store of food is sufficient for 250 soldiers. So first set is soldiers. Store of food is sufficient for 250 soldiers for 21 days. So second set is days. Okay, for how many days? How many days means x days. The same food will be sufficient if there arrive 100 soldiers more. 100 soldiers more mean there were 250, and 100 more means you will add 100. Okay, so let's write the two sets. Let me write two sets. Okay, first is soldiers, and second is days. Okay. Now, a store of food is sufficient for 250 soldiers. So 250 soldiers for 21 days. So I'll write 21 here. Days. For how many days? How many days means X. For how many days? The same food will be sufficient if there arrive 100 soldiers more. So we will add 100. So there were 250 soldiers and 100 soldier more arrived. 100 soldiers. So 250 plus 100 is 350. Now there are 350 soldiers. So you can see that number of soldiers are increasing. So this quantity is increasing. So if soldiers are increasing, so this days will decrease. Okay. The same food will be sufficient for less days if number of soldiers are more. Okay. So let's write it here. If the number of soldiers increases, okay, you can see number of soldiers is increasing. If the number of soldiers increases, the number of days will decrease, obviously. Okay, so one quantity is increasing, so other will decrease. So number of days will decrease. Okay, now let's write it. Start with the tail. Okay, so you can see that tail is here. From here we will start till 250. So we'll write 350 first. 350 is to 250. Then proportion. Again start with the tail. 21 is to x. 21 is to x. Okay. Same formula of proportion. Product of extreme values equals to product of mean values. Okay. So let's multiply 350 into x. Product of extreme values 350 into x equals to product of mean values 250 into 21. Now x you have to find, x will remain here. 350 is multiplying, so that side you will divide. So x equals to 250 into 21 divided by 350. Okay. So you can simplify it. 0 and 0 cancelled. 5 into 5 is 25. 5 into 7. So multiply 5 into 21 is 105 divided by 7. So you can divide. So x is equals to 15. Now what is 15? What was required? So 105 upon 7 is 15. You will divide. So what is 15? 15 is x, this days. Okay. So you will write days here. So same food will be sufficient for 15 days. If 100 soldiers more arrive, 100 soldiers you can see. We have added 100 soldiers more. So it means same food will be sufficient for 15 days. So in the answer you will write this statement that same food will be sufficient same food will be sufficient for 15 days. Okay. So this is the answer. Same food will be sufficient for 15 days. Okay. So write the correct sets and then write the correct quantities, then you can easily find the answer. Okay. So simple it is. If one is increasing, other will decrease, or one is decreasing, other will increase. Okay. So according to that you will write the proportion. Okay, one more I'll do it, and then rest you can do it on your own. Okay. One more question. I have written this question, question number 3. Okay. Let's read the question. Question is 400 persons had a food stock for 6 days. So two sets are persons. 400 persons had a food stock for 6 days. So persons and days. How many persons? How many persons means X should leave so that the same food is sufficient for 8 days. Okay. So you will find how many persons should leave. Okay. So for that, first we will find same food will be sufficient for how many persons. Then we will subtract and we'll get the answer. Okay. Let's solve it. Two sets are persons. Okay. Persons and days. So 400 persons, we'll write 400 persons, had a food stock for 6 days. For 6 days, okay. How many persons means X. How many is X? Should leave so that the same food is sufficient for 8 days. How many should leave so that same food be sufficient for 8 days. Okay, let's find it. You can see number of days are increasing. So if days are increasing, number of persons will decrease. Okay, so we will write it here. If the number of days increases, then the number of persons will decrease. Okay. Okay. So number of days increases, number of person will decrease. Okay, let's solve it same way I told you before. Start with the tail and till arrow you'll move. So 400 is to X. 400 is to X. Proportion. Again start from this tail. 8 is to X. 8 is to 6. Okay. 8 is to 6. Now same formula, product of extreme values equals to product of mean values. So X is with mean, we'll write X here. X is to X into 8. Product of mean values equals to product of extreme values, 400 into 6. X is unknown, so X will remain here. 8 is multiplying, that said you will divide. So X equals to 400 into 6 divided by 8. So you can divide, you will get answer X is 300. So it means that same food is sufficient for 300%. Okay, this X equals to 300 means that same food will be sufficient for 300 persons. Okay, so how many should leave? So there were 400 persons, so it is sufficient for 300 persons. So it means 400 minus 300. So if 100 persons will leave, 100 will leave, then you'll get 300. Okay, so 100 persons will leave, then food will be sufficient for 300 persons. So in the answer, 100 persons should leave. 100 persons should leave. Okay, so this is the answer. 100 persons should leave, then the food will be sufficient for 300 persons. So altogether there were 400 persons, but food is sufficient for 300 persons. So it means out of 400, if 100 persons will leave, food will be sufficient for 300 persons. So X is 100 because unknown value is 100. They have asked how many persons should leave, so 100 persons should leave. Okay. I hope you have understood all this. So now the homework is do the remaining questions of exercise 5.3. Okay, you will complete the exercise 5.3 from question number 4 till question number 8. Okay, I hope you have understood this. Please complete all your work, previous work also. Okay, take care girls, bye.